Hey, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Mark coming at you with another video. Now this video is going to be a little different. This is going to be a recap of our last trip to Europe. Now, a few people had asked me what were the things that you liked, what were the things you didn't like, what would you do differently on a second trip. I wanted to put together a video to answer a lot of those questions and maybe help you make a decision if you're planning on taking a similar trip. So what I want to do is break down the trip into different segments. I want to talk about transportation, I want to talk about lodging, and then I want to talk about different sites and stuff. So as far as transportation goes, what I had planned on doing was, since I already knew we were going to do at least 3 cities, I wanted to fly out to the farthest destination first and then work my way back west, back home. It didn't work out that way. I did a lot of research. I was trying to find really good airfares and rates, and what I found is that making London the jump off point was more economical than flying from New York to Rome. So we made London our first destination and then flew back from Rome to New York. And now what I did was I booked a round trip ticket, multi-city, flying into London, flying back from Rome. So everything in between I booked afterwards, and I got a really good deal. It was probably about $465 round trip for that alone. Now that I had the first destination already set, I knew that being so close to France, the next destination was gonna be Paris. So rather than book plane tickets, what I did was I researched how much the train express super fast, whatever you call it, and it was about $69 per person, and I thought that was a great way to travel to Paris. It was cheap, the $100 each, and only 2 hours, which was great considering the flight from London to Paris is only an hour, but you have to factor in getting to the airport early, getting through security. It ends up being a 3-4 hour deal. So with the train, it was easy peasy. So we opted to go that route. Now the final destination, getting from Paris to Rome, was another easy deal. Now if you know me, you know that when I travel to a certain region, what I like to do is use regional airlines once I'm there to get around. I find that it's so much cheaper to use regional airlines rather than book like a whole package deal. You save literally hundreds of dollars. So I looked at EasyJet and I looked at Ryanair, and I found a great rate flying out of Orly Airport in Paris to Rome, which was about $100 each one way, so that was great. All in all, transportation, $465 for the round trip. The train was $69, another $100. It was about $650. That's not bad just for transportation alone. If I had done a package deal, I would have easily paid about a good $1,200–1,300 per person. So I saved a bunch of money that way. Second was lodging. Now, once I had the destinations and all that set, I started searching for places to stay. Now, Anna Marie and I are always on the go. We're not concerned with where we're staying at. It doesn't necessarily have to be 5-star or whatever, just as long as it's clean, there's running water, and working Wi-Fi. In London, we stood in a nice little place in Bayswater, breakfast included, which was a big plus. Now, some people ask me, why didn't you go through Airbnb? I usually use Airbnb whenever I travel, but for some reason I couldn't find anything reasonably priced. Everything was like really far away, and I didn't want to travel too much within the city, so I opted to go that route. In Paris, we stood at a hostel. We had a private room with ensuite bathroom, so we didn't have to share the bathroom with anyone, the showers and what have you. It was small, but it was comfy, it was nice. There was a laundromat right next door to the hostel, which was great because that gave us a chance to wash clothes halfway through our trip. Next stop was in Rome, and I found this place. I don't remember where I found it, but it was a bed and breakfast. It was in a really cool part of town called Monti, and It was really nice. It was a small room also, but great breakfast. It was in the middle of everything. If you've ever been to Rome, you know that Rome is just an outdoor museum, so it's like everywhere. I mean, it's a walking city with either walking distance to a lot of the sites or a really short metro ride. So that place was really great. So all in all, for lodging, the whole trip, I think I might have paid less than $600, which is pretty awesome considering. So now it was getting around. Depending on the destination, we like to do do-it-yourself tours where we could, we get to the place, wherever it is that we're visiting, on our own. We save money that way. But a lot of times some of the places are, very far and it's not really, I guess, feasible to do that. So we opt to go with a tour. We did that in London when we went to Stonehenge. The rest of the city we did by metro. Now, I live in New York. I've taken the subway all my life. I take the subway to and from work every day, so I'm used to the metro. If you're on a budget, really stay away from cabs and Ubers and stay away from tours. Utilize their metro system or their public transportation, depending on where you're going. It's the best way to go. In London and Paris, I download 2 apps. I'll leave links for them in the description below. Yeah, these apps were really great. Whenever we wanted to get somewhere, we just put in the information there and it told us basically what subways to take, where to transfer. I mean, really, metro systems are convenient and efficient, and the apps very helpful. So in London, we did that one tour to Bath and to Stonehenge, and then the rest of the time we basically took the metro and we saw a lot of the sights. In Paris, we pretty much did the same thing. We took the metro everywhere we went. And then in Rome, we basically did everything on our own except the Vatican, which was a paid tour, but we did meet the tour guide outside of the Vatican wall, so we did get there on our own. So basically we did everything, on our own, including Pompeii, which we had to take 2 trains to get to, from Rome all the way down to Napoli, where we jumped on a local train to get to Pompeii. And then once we were down there, we did pay, I think it was probably like 12 euros each for a guided tour, because we wanted to learn a lot about the history. And usually when you're at an archaeological site, you're walking around, you're looking, but you're not really getting the information. So that's why we did a guided tour. So what are the regrets? Were there any regrets, or was there anything that didn't work? Our first regret, I gotta say, is not spending enough time in London. I gotta be honest with you, I didn't actually want to spend that much time in London. I don't know, in the back of my head, I just pictured London as New York with more history and an accent. Once we were there, we realized just how wonderful that city is, and kind of regretted not spending more time there. Now, it doesn't mean that we won't go back, because we would definitely go back. But I just wish we had spent more time there to see more of the sights and just experience more of the culture there, which is like New York in the sense that it's a melting pot. Another regret was not using surface transportation in Paris. Now, we didn't realize just how immense, how huge the Paris metro system is. It's very convenient to use. The only problem is that there's so many tunnels, and because there's so many transfers to get from one place to another, we found ourselves walking up and down stairs and cross from one station to another practically the whole trip. We spent most of our trip underground, going from one place to another. So Anna Marie kind of felt like, I'm not gonna say she didn't like Paris, but she kind of, I wish she was here to explain, but I kind of understand. And looking back, I realized that we didn't give Paris a chance because we spent so much time underground traveling. So that was a big regret. I think the next time we'll spend more time above ground, renting bikes, taking buses instead of the metro, and and maybe even jumping on one of those on and off buses just so that we could experience and see more of the sights. So yeah, regret was not spending more time outdoors. And that's basically it. Rome, there was no regrets other than I wish I would have learned a few more words. For me, Italian was a little easier only because of the Spanish. There's a lot of similarities to both languages. French is really hard. Once I said a little word or two in French or in Italian and asked them if they spoke English, people were more receptive because at least I tried to speak their language. And I find that that's universal. That was the trip in a nutshell. Again, it was a great, wonderful trip, and I can't wait for our next adventure. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so now. Give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share this video if you know anyone that's interested in travel and is thinking of doing a trip like this. We'll see you back real soon. Peace.